Remember hustle culture? For years, you couldn't escape it. It was everywhere. But lately, it feels like it just vanished, right? So what happened? What exactly took its place? Well, let's get into it. I mean, just think about your own social media feed for a second. A few years ago, it was wall-to-wall rise and grind motivation. Now, you're way more likely to see stuff about becoming ungovernable. So what on earth caused this huge pendulum swing in our collective mindset? To really understand where we are now, we have to rewind the clock a bit. So let's start by looking back at the era of the old guard, good old hustle culture. So what was this movement all about, really? If you were online back then, you know the lingo. It was all about relentless, nonstop action. The core message from motivational channels was pretty clear. Work every waking hour, discipline yourself, get that Mamba mentality. It was all about the art of the grind. This idea that sheer effort was the only thing that could separate you from the lazy 97%. And the poster children for this stuff? They weren't fictional characters. No, they were real-world titans. You had giants of industry and legendary athletes held up as the absolute pinnacle of success. Their lives basically sold to us as the blueprint you had to follow. You know, at its heart, the whole philosophy was incredibly optimistic. The message you'd see everywhere was something like this: your life is just a reflection of what you focus on. If you don't control your thoughts, they control you. The promise was so seductive, right? Master your mind, and you will master your life. It was all on you. But what happens when the grind literally never stops? What's the catch? Well, that leads us right into our next chapter, the Great Burnout. The cracks started to show not in some corporate memo, but in our actual lives. Psychology channels started picking up on this collective feeling of exhaustion. Take this poll, for example, which asked why people felt tired of their friends. The answers weren't about petty fights. It was about total emotional drainage. Their energy drains me. I'm growing in a different direction. A really deep social and personal fatigue was setting in. And that right there, that was a massive turning point. The whole online conversation started to flip. It wasn't about pure rah-rah motivation anymore. It started to be about the real psychological price of chasing that relentless ambition. All of a sudden, you started seeing video titles like this one, The Guilt of Outgrowing Others. The focus was no longer on how to grind harder, but on the emotional fallout, the isolation that came with a philosophy that literally told you to walk away from anyone who wasn't on your level. And out of the ashes of all that burnout, a brand new philosophy started to rise. And this one wasn't about blind optimism. It was about cold, calculated strategy. Welcome to the age of the anti-hero. The new buzzword became dark psychology. And what is that exactly? Well, channels dedicated to it define it as digging into the messy parts of the human mind, manipulation, power dynamics, the shadow self. And its heroes weren't motivational speakers. They were heavy-hitting thinkers like Machiavelli, Carl Jung, and Nietzsche. So, a new philosophy needs new role models, right? And yeah, these new icons were different. They weren't entrepreneurs grinding their way to a fortune. Nope. They were fictional, anti-heroes, and long-dead philosophers of power. I mean, just look at this lineup. We're talking Thomas Shelby, the Joker, Walter White, even Thanos. These characters aren't admired for their work ethic or their positive mindset. They're admired because they are master strategists, manipulators, and they play the game to win, no matter the cost. And behind these figures, there's a whole new philosophical toolkit. Machiavelli is your guide to power. Carl Jung gives you permission to explore your shadow self. Nietzsche is about radically overcoming yourself, not just improving yourself. And Schopenhauer brings in a healthy dose of pessimism. This is definitely not the think positive section of the bookstore anymore. If I had to pick one quote to sum up this entire vibe, it would be this one, which you see all over these channels. Why should I apologize for the monster I have become? Wow, I mean, that is a complete 180 from good vibes only, isn't it? It's defiant, it's unapologetic, and it's the total opposite of that upbeat, inspirational guru. Okay, so we've got these two completely opposing worldviews. Let's put them side by side and really dig into the core differences. It really comes down to a fundamental battle: work hard versus outsmart. First up, what's the main focus? For hustle culture, it was all about external achievement, things people could see: the fancy car, the job title, the public recognition. Dark psychology, it's all about mastering your internal state, achieving a level of control that most people won't ever even notice. And that focus leads directly to a very different end goal. In hustle culture, the finish line was wealth and status. For dark psychology, the ultimate prize isn't money, it's power and autonomy. It's the ability to be ungovernable, to be completely in the driver's seat of your own life. And this all points to the biggest difference of all: how you see the world. Hustle culture saw the world as this optimistic meritocracy, like a ladder you could climb if you just worked hard enough. Dark psychology sees the world as a strategic game, a chess match that you have to win with ruthless intelligence, because the game itself is not designed to be fair. So we've traced this pretty wild evolution from one ideology to a completely different one. But what's the big takeaway here? What does this massive cultural shift actually mean for us? If you boil it all down, it really comes to this. It's a fundamental shift from trying to play the game harder to trying to understand the rules of the game itself. It's a pivot away from pure brute force effort and towards deep, strategic thinking. And why is this happening right now? Well, this change seems to tap into a growing desire for agency, for self-preservation, in a world that just feels more and more competitive, more and more uncertain every day. When that old promise of just work hard and you'll make it starts to feel like a lie, people will naturally start looking for a new rulebook. Which leaves us with one final, really big question to chew on. In a world that feels this chaotic, are we just trading ambition for armor? Are we giving up on the big, optimistic dream of changing the world and instead just settling for protecting ourselves from it?